gotta focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind, on your health, yeah. You gotta work, never tell, keep your head down, find what you love and excel, yeah. Push and pull.
The Vivo X300 Ultra might just be one of the most under-pressure smartphones this year. With memory prices already going up across the board, a lot of users are feeling the pinch. And launching a new Ultra model in this climate, especially if it comes with a higher price tag, naturally invites criticism. On top of that, the marketing leans heavily into advanced features like log mode, pro shooting modes, cinematic effects, and powerful telephoto lenses. While that sounds impressive, it can also feel a bit out of reach for everyday users. Not everyone needs that level of camera capability, and it raises a fair question: why not just get a dedicated camera instead? So in this video, we're focusing purely on the phone itself, looking at how the X300 Ultra performs without factoring in those extra bundled features or accessories that add to the cost.
A quick shout out to my tech partner from China for sharing this video. A big thank you for making this possible. Hey everyone, it's Maiky from techmaiky. If you love staying updated with the latest gadgets, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out our exciting tech content.
Starting with the design, the X300 Ultra sticks pretty closely to the look of its predecessor, the X200 Ultra. One thing that immediately stands out is the smaller, rounded corners, which still feel a bit unconventional. These days, many brands, even Vivo's own standard models, are shifting toward larger, more rounded corners, similar to what Apple does. Design trends aside, it really comes down to personal taste. I'm not a big fan of overly rounded edges. I actually prefer the sharper, more squared-off style you see on Samsung devices. The overall look here feels quite minimal, but that massive camera module definitely grabs attention. It's big for a reason. The triple main camera setup takes serious space, but it almost feels like Vivo is intentionally showing it off, as if to say, yes, this phone is big and it's all about the camera. If you placed two phones side by side, this one would instantly make you think it has the better camera. Like the standard X300, the back panel features a glass design with a crater-like transition that blends into the metal lens ring. The camera bump is quite prominent, but interestingly, it gives your index finger a natural place to rest. That actually helps balance the weight a bit and reduces the strain on your little finger, which is usually an issue with heavier Ultra models. Still, there's no escaping the top-heavy feel that comes with a camera-focused flagship, especially when holding it horizontally. The large camera bump can also create issues with flat wireless chargers, where it doesn't sit evenly, although vertical chargers work just fine. Earlier Ultra models had some quirks, like the NFC position being placed in a way that made scanning Metro cards unreliable. Thankfully, in real-world testing, the X300 Ultra's top-positioned sensor works smoothly for access cards and payments. Despite how bold that camera bump looks, the main body itself isn't overly thick. The mid-frame has also been refined this time, with smoother edges that transition more naturally into the back panel, giving it a more comfortable and rounded feel compared to the previous generation. That said, I do have one complaint about the back. The glass finish just doesn't feel as premium as it could. Compared to the previous generation's textured surface, this one feels a bit less refined, even though both use a similar silver tone. Personally, I think the older finish had more character and a better tactile feel. If I had to rate the design overall, I'd give it a score out of 10. Moving to the front, the display is supplied by BOE and uses the Q10 Plus panel, which is considered one of the best screens produced domestically in recent years. It's essentially a flat display, or more accurately, a subtle 2.5D curve, something that gamers usually prefer. The resolution stays at 2K, but the refresh rate now goes up to 144 Hz. Aside from demanding titles like Genshin Impact, almost all of the popular games I tested were able to take advantage of the 144 Hz. Funny enough, my previous tablet supported 165 Hz, but very few games were actually optimized for that, so 144 Hz feels like a more practical sweet spot. In terms of gaming performance, lighter titles like Honor of Kings run perfectly at 144 FPS with stable frame rates, and the phone stays impressively cool. PUBG Mobile at 1080p with anti-aliasing enabled also performs well, maintaining smooth gameplay with around 4 watts of power consumption. However, when you push it to higher settings with 120 FPS enabled, performance drops, averaging around 83 FPS. Dialing the graphics back to a slightly lower setting brings it back up to around 119 FPS. If there are other games you want me to test, drop them in the comments. I'll check them out. And if you're enjoying the content, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Overall, smoothness is excellent. Even something like launching the camera while reversing happens instantly with no noticeable delay. Speaking of the display again, manual brightness sits around 770 nits, but it can easily exceed 1700 nits in boosted mode for full screen brightness. Outdoors, especially under strong sunlight, it can even appear brighter than an iPhone with anti-reflective coating. That said, this brightness isn't sustained indefinitely. As the phone heats up, it will limit brightness to manage temperature. This isn't unique to Vivo. Most flagship phones, including iPhones, behave the same way after extended use outdoors. If you've seen long-duration outdoor tests, you'll notice many devices struggle to maintain peak brightness over time. As for display quality, it's hard to find any real flaws here. Colors are accurate, and clarity at low brightness levels is excellent. For eye comfort, it supports both native backlight control and high-frequency PWM dimming at full brightness, though that's something that often comes down to personal sensitivity, so I won't dive too deep into that.
Right now, in the Android world, aside from devices like the Huawei Mate 80 Pro Max with its dual-layer OLED and the Samsung M14 panels used in phones like the iQ15 and iQ15 Ultra, this display is honestly one of the best I've personally experienced. Now let's get to the real question. If you don't touch LOG, RAW, or any professional modes, can a regular user still take great photos straight out of the Vivo X300 Ultra? My answer is yes, absolutely. If you're just starting out, I'd suggest sticking with the vivid mode and keeping things simple. Use 35mm for half-body shots and 85mm for close-ups. With these focal lengths, as long as the lighting is decent and your subject looks good, it's honestly hard to mess up. Compared to the previous generation, this version leans more toward a natural look. Details like hair don't appear overly sharpened, and the skin processing is much more subtle. On a phone screen, it might feel a bit too smooth, but once you view those same images on a larger display, the textures, like pores and fine details, are still there, which makes everything feel more realistic. If you're curious about the original full-resolution photos, just type 1 in the comments. If enough people ask, I'll get permission from the model to share them. After all, even 4K video is only 8 megapixels, so it doesn't fully show what these photos can do. If you already know your way around photography, I'd say experiment a bit more with the color options this time around. Along with the new fruit-inspired tones, there's also a richer color mode designed for capturing light in a more dramatic way. Each mode has its own advanced settings, and even small tweaks can completely change the vibe of your shot. For example, when shooting something like cherry blossoms, adding a soft glow and a bit of luminosity creates a really pleasing result. I also tried the CCD style mode for portraits, and all of those shots were taken straight out of the camera, no editing at all. Honestly, if I can get results like that, you probably can too. A lot of people still dismiss phone photography and say, if I'm spending this much, why not just buy a camera? But the truth is, getting those kinds of results with a camera takes time, learning, and practice. Smartphones make the whole process much more accessible. I can shoot 10 photos in a minute. My girlfriend can instantly see how they look, tweak a few things, post them on WeChat Moments, and we're off to enjoy the day. Simple as that. Now think about it. If you saw 2 photos side by side, which one would you pick? This time around, the X300 Ultra introduces a multispectral lens, mainly to improve white balance and color accuracy in tricky lighting conditions. The current original color mode is basically an upgraded version of the old Zeiss natural style. Compared to both iPhones and previous Vivo models, most colors look more true to life, especially blues in the sky and common reds, which closely match what you see with your eyes. Greens are still a bit tricky though. In real life, they sit somewhere in between, so neither approach feels perfectly accurate. In the past, Vivo's photos were often more eye-catching because they boosted saturation and brightness. But in this new original color mode, what you see is pretty much what you get.
It's very restrained, even less vibrant than an iPhone, which just shows how focused it is on realism. The same applies to night photography. Older Vivo phones tended to brighten night scenes so much that they almost look like daytime, which some people liked, but I wouldn't call it realistic. Now, even if the colors look muted and the exposure feels lower, it actually matches how night scenes appear to the human eye. Because of time limits, I didn't get to fully test the 14mm large sensor ultra-wide, but compared to the typical 17mm small sensor ultra-wide setups on other phones, it's clearly ahead by a couple of years. I also didn't have enough time to try out the new camera kit and frame rate lens. I do have a concert coming up in April, and I'm planning to shoot some portrait videos there with a couple of models, so stay tuned for that. Now let's talk about the downsides. First up, the watermark. I really think Vivo needs to rethink this. Other brands are introducing more modern, customizable watermark styles, while this plain white one feels outdated, like something from years ago. Then there's the front camera. For a phone with such a powerful rear camera system, the selfie camera still feels underwhelming. Whether it's dynamic range or resolution, it noticeably falls behind iPhones. I know this is common across Android, but for an Ultra device, expectations are higher. Seeing a sensor like GN5 here just doesn't feel right. As someone who shoots a lot of video, I rely heavily on the ultra-wide camera. But on the X300 Ultra, stabilization takes priority, which leads to heavy cropping in ultra-wide video. Even when you're barely moving, the frame still looks noticeably cropped. On top of that, switching between the three cameras during recording isn't as smooth as you'd expect from an Ultra flagship. Battery life is another area worth mentioning. A 6,600 mAh battery paired with a 2K display sounds great on paper, but in real use, it's a bit mixed. With 2K resolution, Wi-Fi, and max quality 120 FPS settings, an hour of use combined with WeChat and video streaming gives about 6.5 hours of screen time. Pushing it harder, 2 hours at max settings, drops that to about 5 hours and 53 minutes. Without gaming and using 5G outdoors, it still doesn't last as long as standard-sized phones. Indoors on Wi-Fi, you can get about 7 hours of screen time. And in a full-day scenario from morning to late night, it lands at about 6.5 hours. It's not bad, but it's not class-leading either. Charging is solid, though. You get 100-watt wired and 40-watt wireless, and the charger has been upgraded with USB 3.2 Gen 2 support. Combined with Vivo's Office suite, transferring files or switching devices is quick and convenient. Also worth mentioning, this generation finally supports the HEIF format, which cuts photo storage size in half compared to JPEG. As for the rest, the vibration motor has been improved. It's definitely better than the standard 0809, but it still doesn't quite match the top-tier 0916 level. All things considered, the X300 Ultra is a very stable and well-rounded camera flagship. The hardware has improved, but with rising memory costs, it doesn't bring anything truly groundbreaking. It doesn't have that wow factor, and the added cost of the camera kit can make it feel a bit out of reach. But if you just look at the phone itself without any extras, it actually performs really well on its own. That's it for this video. If you found it helpful, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Every bit of support helps push the video to more viewers. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.